would say this is definitely a video that I didn't want to make, but what can I do? A lot of you in the last video noticed and commented about the new rear bumper that is on the truck currently, and we're asking how it turned out and how it went, and that's part of what today's video is going to be about. So let me how do I preface this? What I'm not going to do in this video is bash anybody in particular. I don't want to name drop. I don't want anything like that. Stuff happens. Stuff is a light term. But to give you guys the backstory, I ordered this rear tube bumper. I paid for it back in February, and I just picked it up about a week ago, not even. And it was supposed to have been done before Morgan and I went out to Colorado, and that way we could scoop it up on the way. And then it still wasn't ready. The gentleman's tube bender had broke, so we kind of had to partially scrap the design that we had both agreed upon because of his tube bender breaking. And we kind of went a different route, which I was fine with, and gave him another 3 weeks to be able to create the bumper. And so that way we could pick it up on the way home from Colorado. Long story short, there's not much that is square or level on the bumper. I'll bring you up close and show you some of the angles so that way you can get a better understanding, but the stock holes on the frame of the Tacoma that basically mount the stock bumper are the same holes that we wanted to use to mount this bumper. So 3 out of the 4 bolts fit. One of the holes on the bumper doesn't line up with the hole on the frame. So I can only fit 3 out of 4 bolts on this thing. So definitely immediately not able to, use it as a recovery option because it's not fully mounted and not fully bolted up there. The brackets are not, the whole bumper sits about 1.5 inches to the passenger side too far. You can tell by, and I'll show you up close, but basically the hitch is out of line, the whole bumper is pushed over and not centered, and then the whole bumper does this. And then if you're looking down at the bumper, it doesn't sit the same distance from the tailgate. So I'll bring you in. Overall, the design that we came up with looks, I think, really good and has a lot of potential if it was just done a little bit better. So I don't know how well you can see that, but the gap from the bumper to the bottom of the tailgate is about 1 inch on that side. It's about 1/2 inch over here on the other side. So the whole bumper sits like this. And then if you go, and this would be better with a tape measure, but it sits closer to the truck here than it does here. It's the whole thing is like pushed out on this side, this way. The end of the bumper comes to about here. On this side, it's about 1 inch further this way. So, and what makes that really evident, it's hard to see it on camera, but here it almost looks like the bumper is going off the side of the truck. And here the bumper is not even off the truck. So anyways, without grabbing a tape measure and showing you, I've already done so. It's about 1.5 inches to the right. And what makes that really obvious is when you look at the bracketry, let me brighten you up. When you look at the brackets that run from the frame out to the bumper, you can see that this one, the bumper is welded to it right at this crease, right here where this crease happens. And then on this side, my license plate's kind of covering it up, but the bracket is welded a solid 1 inch from the crease on this side. And so that basically pushed the whole bumper this way. And then you can also see the hitch doesn't line up with that little groove on the center of the tailgate. It's pushed over about 1 inch that way. So, and then right up here are the holes. You can see I've got 1 bolt in, but if you put 1 bolt in, the other bolt doesn't fit. So you can see the other holes in the back there. I initially tried putting that bolt in first and then putting this one in. And whichever way you do it, the holes just don't line up. So I would basically have to drill out one of those holes to make it elongated to be able to fit a bolt through it. I'm not entirely sure why this happened with the hitch, but the hitch is angled upwards quite substantially. And so if I were to, basically that, I can put like a license plate bracket on it, and the license plate will sit a little bit funky, pointed down towards the ground, but I can't really put like a bike rack on it, which is kind of what I really wanted it for, was to be able to put my bike rack on it so I could carry my mountain bike around. But with that angle being so far out this way, it's going to put the bike like even further off the back of the truck, and then put a lot more strain on that whole bike rack because it's not sitting perpendicular. So now this leaves me in quite a peculiar predicament where just to make this bumper functional, I definitely need to be able to, I have to drill out that hole on the bumper to be able to get all 4 bolts in. So that way at least it's on there with all 4 bolts. And then I suppose you could say it could be used for recovery and all that good stuff. It's so far off. It's not like it was off a 1/4 inch or even a 1/2 inch. Like it's off about an inch and a half this way. Not to mention when you're behind the truck, the whole thing sits cockeyed. So long story short, the reason I have this bumper built is because I don't have a welder. I would have loved to have built something like this myself, but I don't have a welder, air compressor, tube bender, all that stuff. And went out on a limb to have one built. And this is now, unfortunately, what I'm stuck with is a bumper that isn't fully mounted and is very cockeyed. And so I can't even turn around and sell this to somebody because as it sits right now, it doesn't even bolt up to the truck properly. So I already have to modify it. And then I personally would feel bad selling this to somebody because of how off center and off kilter everything is. And so I kind of either have to scrap the whole thing as just scrap metal, or I have to take it to somebody, have them cut the bumper off, and then re-weld it in a squared fashion. So, the bumper that I've been waiting on for 6 months turned out to be kind of a pretty big disaster, which is unfortunate. So I don't even want to paint it right now. My plan was to paint it black, but with it needing to be re-welded, there's no point in me putting paint on it. And not to mention, the gentleman said that he would throw in a license plate holder that would go in the hitch for me, because I was asking him where I could mount my license plate. And not the end of the world, because I guess you could say he was giving it to me for free because he had it laying around, but he didn't have it when he sold me the bumper. So I ended up zip tying my license plate over on the bumper with 4 zip ties. But the issue with that is I don't have a way to put my license plate light on. And so I really can't drive this truck like this at nighttime without the risk of getting pulled over. Whereas with the hitch mount, I would have been able to basically, the hitch mount license plate would have sat here, and then I could have run my light out underneath this little divot here and then bolted it to the license plate frame right above the license plate. Whereas this, I'm not using bolts. It's just kind of a disaster. So basically the plan for today is to take my license plate off, take the whole rear bumper off, and probably set it aside for an indefinite amount of time, unless maybe one of you guys lives near Tennessee and has a welder that wants to help on this project. I can't use this bumper. So be unbolting it, taking it back off the truck, resetting up where I had my license plate before, which is kind of a huge pain. I gotta put a bracket on and reinstall my license plate and then get the license plate light back on. Outside of that, I want to unpack the truck from the trip. I still have basically all my gear in here. I also got to put some freaking WD-40 on these latches from all the desert dust that is in them. I got to unpack this thing and start cleaning off my gear because everything is dusty. Probably clean the truck, get all the dirt and grime off of the underside of the body. And then I got to do an oil change because we put about 5,000 miles on these trucks between to and from Colorado. So oil changes up, and we're just gonna kind of start knocking stuff out and getting back into the rhythm so that way I can start looking forward onto modifications and improving this build. But definitely first things first, everything's got to come out and get cleaned up. Everything out of the truck. Honestly, was able to do it in like no time at all. I really didn't bring all that much stuff. The only thing that's not pictured here is like my clothes that I had up in the cab with me, as well as all the camera gear. But I mean, this is everything I brought on a 3-week-long trip out to Colorado, which covers the basics: kitchen, fridge, water, tools, and now I can finally take out this carpet and shake it out because I'm sure it is just so full of dust. But before we can take the carpet and everything out, I want to take this TV out. I used it once when we were out there and it was cool, but it just doesn't get used that much. I thought I was going to use it as a second monitor for editing with my laptop, and it was just so much more comfortable to be standing up with the GFC popped and using this panel right above my head as a standing desk. It just didn't make sense to edit down below here, and because I really didn't have anything to set my laptop on and keyboard, mouse, and all that. So this thing just didn't get used, and I don't think it's gonna get used enough to justify keeping it in here. So although it was cool, and I'm gonna save this little build for future videos where I may want to bring my PlayStation back out or something along those lines, I just don't think I can justify it. It's kind of just dead weight in here. And I meant to mention that in the last video, however, I forgot. But yeah, this definitely could have stayed at home. So nice to have, didn't use it. And that right there, my friends, is one of the biggest reasons I didn't want to do a wooden build out in this thing and keep it modular. Is at the end of a trip, truck bed's filthy. All I got to do is pull everything out. We got a rubber bed mat, hose everything down once and done. So nice to be able to do that instead of having to go in there with wipes and be meticulous about where I can and can't get water with something like a wooden build out. Now, in the future, I may build a extruded aluminum storage container, storage box, storage area on the passenger side, kind of behind where I keep the fridge. But when I do that, I want to see if I can do like some gasketing around it, so that way I wouldn't necessarily have to pull everything out in order to do what I just did with the hose. So hopefully try and make it watertight, but worst case scenario, it's extruded aluminum, and then I'll use like PVC plastic sheeting to house, do the sides basically. And then all I have to do is empty everything out, and then I can actually hose down that entire storage container as well. So keeping everything lightweight, keeping everything modular, and keeping everything easily cleanable was the goal for this thing in its new rendition with the GFC. You guys have seen me do an oil change probably countless times, but today I'm going to time myself. I've laid out everything I'm going to need, I think. Torque wrench. Torque wrench. So like I was saying, I've laid out everything that I'm going to need. Oil, filter, drain plug gasket, funnel, wrench, drain pan. I want to see how fast I can do it in. I'm going to time myself. And let me know down in the comments before I get started what your time guess is. Are we talking 10 minutes? Are we talking sub 30 minutes? An hour? Let me know. Also, how much oil am I going to spill? So let me know down in the comments your timestamp and how much oil am I going to spill. And with that being said, I'm going to start the timer right now. See, it's rolling. So I always pop the hood, obviously, first. And so that way the oil drains out easier. I just loosen the fill cap and leave it resting up top. And then I pull the drain plug out a little bit. Just helps with the gulpy of the oil. Got to remember to pull the oil pan actual, what is that called? Cap. I made that mistake before. Okay, and hopefully no oil spillage. Drain bolt is coming out in 3, 2, 3, 2, 3, 2, 1.5, 1. Okay, we are draining. I'm gonna grab my secondary drain pan for the oil filter. See if I can't get that guy out. Oh, my hand's oily. Dang it. Come on, baby. Ah, shoot. Okay. I tried. I don't even know if this is the right filter wrench. Don't. Oh, okay. Well, that's unfortunate. I just dropped the filter wrench somewhere in my skid plates. Where'd you go, buddy? Oh no. Oh no. That's gonna add so much time. Whoever said car yoga wasn't a thing is a liar. Where'd you go, buddy? Where'd you go? I gotcha. I'm gonna take a rag to kind of fill up a little bit of the void in the filter wrench. See if I can get it out like that. I really just need to spin it off enough to be able to then get it off by hand. I don't think that is working at all. Oh crap. This is gonna set me back on time. No idea if this is gonna work. I'm gonna take a rubber bungee and try and wrap it around it and see if that will help me grip it off. It does not appear to be doing anything. Okay, I think I may just have to muscle it. Frick, dude. Okay, need tools. For the record, on the last oil change, I used a non-OEM filter, and to be honest, whenever I use a regular filter, never have this problem, or like an OEM filter. Oh, well, I probably just doubled or enough, if not tripled my time. Okay, so next technique, I'm gonna try and line the inside of this guy with some duct tape. Again, to try and get it to be the right size. I don't have high hopes. And it doesn't have to be pretty because I really just want it to fill up space. Feels snug-ish. And it just fell off.
Oh my gosh, dude. There's no way. How was this thing on there that snug? Okay, well, I think I may have loosened it. Oh my gosh, no way, dude. Okay, I stopped the camera from rolling to avoid a massive file size. However, I've not stopped the time. We're 20 minutes and almost 21 minutes. So, won't make that mistake again. We're gonna go Toyota OEM filter. Get a little bit of oil on there and screw it on. And now my old drain plug gasket is stuck to the oil pan. I have never had this much trouble in an oil change. Now that I'm properly sweating in this Tennessee sauna, new drain plug, or sorry, new washer on the drain plug, feeder tight, torque spec, funnel, get out of here spider web, and new oil. Check our dipstick, needs a little more oil. Just gonna dump that in there, pull that, pull the filter, the funnel, put the cap back on, check the dipstick once more to the fill line, and that, oh come on, is time. Just under 30 minutes, and I think you can maybe tell how sweaty I am from doing that. Honestly, that fuel filter not coming off took like half of that time just to get it off, 15 minutes. So, I'm so hot and sweaty. It's like 95 degrees out and 90% humidity here in Tennessee. So next time I'm gonna try and beat 29 minutes and 32 seconds. And for those wondering, that's how much oil I spilled. Not a ton, not none either. So now maintenance is done and I can start to possibly figure out how to manage this bumper situation. Okay, so the light, the light will reach, I think. Yeah, the light will reach, but I imagine it's gonna hit my, that looks terrible. But then secondly, my tailgate can't open, otherwise it's gonna crush this light. So I think there you can see, one, my plan was to run the hitch mount, license plate mount, or hitch mounted license plate. And then similar to my dash cam, which I haven't been able to run since I took my stock bumper off, basically what it does is it mounts through the stock, or the license plate holes. And you can buy like an LED light that mimics this that would sit right there. But with this being the way it is, I don't have a way to put a light on this, in which case I risk getting pulled over at night. So I'm like half tempted to just leave the bumper the way it is and drive the Prelude if I have to drive at night, or just risk it for the biscuit. Maybe the officer will understand. But I don't really want to take the bumper off just because, in reality, what I'm hoping is take this to somebody who could just cut off these brackets and shift the bumper over, and then should be all squared away literally squared away. Just move this over, then I can order a license plate, hitch mount license plate holder, whatever, the little light, and paint this thing and at least run it for a while. And then my buddy and I, who lives in South Carolina, are potentially looking at building some tube bumpers because he's got a shop that he's set up to do that. So next month we're trying to find some time to be able to put some bumpers on mine, and then he's got a Land Cruiser that he's also building out and wants to put bumpers on. So basically, I don't want to take this off if I'm just going to drive it somewhere to have somebody re-weld it. So I'm going to start reaching out to people and seeing if somebody wants to throw me a hand. I can't imagine it would take more than an hour or two. just to cut it off and then re-weld it in the correct position. And then, like I said, throw some black paint on it. And then I'll just run it for now until the new one gets built, and then sell this one. And I'll feel better about selling it because at least it'll be centered and sellable. So that's the plan for now.
Nowhere to be found, but I keep looking for it. Out of my sight, but I keep looking for it.
Oil change is done. Back of the camper is all cleaned up. That was the biggest thing I wanted to do. I would have loved to figure out something to do with this rear bumper, but I don't know at this point. So if you guys, I ask you guys in the comments, and some of you have some really great ideas. So if some of you are welders that live near-ish to southeastern Tennessee and would like to give me a hand with it, I'll trade you some video work, whatever, might be an even trade-off there, but I'd love to have somebody that could just cut this off, re-weld it, center, and then I can go on about my days and painting it, get a hitch mount, license plate frame holder, and make this a usable, functional bumper. But at this point, I don't want to do anything paint-wise. I don't even want to drill the hole right now until I have an idea of how I'm gonna like actually fix this thing. So please leave a comment down below if you have any ideas. And with that being said, guys, appreciate you for tuning in, and I'll see you in the next episode. Look forward to that. Keep elevating, my friends. Love you. Adios.